This is a story about a monkey. More specifically, an ape. An ape who tried to escape. This is the ape that couldn't be contained. Good channel? I'll be the judge of that. Isn't San Diego like the biggest zoo in the world? Speaking of zoos, did you guys know I went to the zoo? If you're ever in Maryland for whatever reason, go to the DC Zoo, not the... Go to the DC Zoo, not the Baltimore Zoo. Baltimore Zoo is like $30 and they ain't got shit. The DC Zoo is free. And you can walk around and it's cooler and they got more stuff. They even had a panda at one point.
Well, on the 13th of February, 1971, San Diego Zoo welcomed a new addition, an orangutan was born, but decided he would be named Ken Allen, after the
Ken
two zookeepers
Allen.
that would go on to care for him in his early years.
A two-named monkey is weird.
And this ape's time at San Diego Zoo
Precious.
would go on to be nothing shy of remarkable. But it was at nightfall when Ken would really shoot into action. One night, as the San Diego Zoo closed its doors and Ken's keepers were heading home after a long day's work, Ken had learned to unscrew the bolts of his cage to free himself, and once out, he'd just roam around his nursery.
I know they're strong, but like, have you ever tried to unscrew something with your hand? How does he have the strength to be able to pinch that hard, dude? Is there something wrong with the gate?
So the next morning, the staff arrived. There they found Ken playing with his toys as his cage sat dismantled behind him.
That freaked me the fuck out.
Keeper simply put it back together
the
again,
cage
and as
broke.
night drew in, they led Ken back into the newly assembled.
Did they not have cameras in the 70s?
Once again, Ken started to unscrew the bolts of his cage
good one, Ken.
and simply
very funny.
messed about.
Oh, he's up to something.
He loved the freedom.
What do orangutans do? Like, do they have fun? Does he want to do that? Seems like it. Yeah, but like, what would he do that now? Like, does he need to stay up? He's not sleepy, so he's staying. I guess I'm surprised, because if I was an animal, I feel like I would just have a normal sleep schedule. There's not shit to do, you know what I mean?
As the sunlight slowly crept in through the window of his nursery, this time around, Ken climbed back into his cage and started re-securing the bolts as if nothing had happened.
No fucking way, man. How does he even have like the leverage to be able to do that, man?
There they saw Ken, sat well behaved in his cage, as if he'd been there the entire night.
Okay, well then there's not a problem here. If he's just gonna fuck around and like swing on vines and shit, like he's cool. What a cool ape, man. Good for him.
Eventually, the zookeeper started to notice that when they'd return in the morning, whilst Ken was sat content in his cage, his toys weren't in the places that the staff had left them the night before. So, with a hunch, that night, the keepers said their goodbyes to Ken.
Somebody's
and
up to something.
To leave. But rather than heading home, they sat quietly outside of Ken's nursery and waited. They started to hear noises. So they abruptly burst through the door, and there they saw Ken, cage dismantled, playing with his toys.
This can't be a real story, right? Is he making this up? Just let him play, man. I mean, I'm letting him play regardless. He's gonna kill me. If I don't let him play, he's gonna rip off my fingers. This is absolutely a fact or fiction story. This is 100% beyond belief core. This is one of the most beyond belief videos I've ever seen.
Ken was placed into a new, much sturdier cage.
Yup.
And that put a stop to his late night
No more
antics
screws,
once
Ken.
and for all.
Keep your
but
ass
trust
in
me
there.
when I say, this was merely the beginning when it came to Ken Allen. Things for San Diego Zoo would get far, far worse.
What does that mean? Dude, it's just really fucked up what happens to orangutans as they get older. The face, like, keeps going. Like, the head, it just becomes like a, like... You know those, like, cardboard kind of paper things that you had in school to do presentations on, like at a science fair or something? He has, like, a trifold. You kind of look like an orangutan right now. You know, normally that would hurt my feelings and I would start crying, but I had a lot of people tell me I look really handsome tonight, so I don't, actually. I look very good and handsome, and my tan looks nice, too. Uh-oh, time for mischief!
Well, when Ken first moved in, he
This is what
wasted
my
no
watch
time in
says,
turning
too.
his hand to mischief.
He's
When a
up
film
to
crew
something.
turned up to document the gorilla enclosure next door,
That is one of the most fit gorillas I've ever seen. Usually, like, they look strong, but, like, that gorilla looks, like, legit cut. Skinwalker monkey. Oh, not another one.
when a film crew turned up to document the gorilla enclosure next door, Ken decided it'd be a good idea to hurl rocks at them.
Good
And then when
one,
he ran
Ken.
out of rocks, he used his own shit.
Right.
And keepers would also report seeing Ken fashioning branches into DIY ladders that he would then thump into the ground with his own fist, climb up to the top, and then climb all the way back down.
Okay, I'm just gonna say it. I think Ken was a human. I think this was a human being either in a costume or he snuck into the zoo somehow. This is a person. That's not an orangutan. Did anyone think to ask? Bro is crafting.
Keepers decided that maybe it was best that he had some company this time around. So they placed him in an enclosure with a bunch of other orangutans. So there was a number of female orangutans, Ken, and one other male.
Wait, did they edit this to make it an orangutan? You could have just made it the normal one, and I don't think anybody would have noticed. It always was? Was that always an orangutan? That's not edited? That shit looks like AI to me. I don't know why.
Now, if you know the first thing about the animal kingdom, 2 males and a bunch of females doesn't usually end too well. To
Beat
put it
his
bluntly,
ass, Ken.
Ken grew to despise Otis. I'm talking cold-blooded hatred, resulting in numerous feuds.
I hope he locks him in a cage. Assemble the cage around him. Turn the screws while he's sleeping.
So they cut their losses and moved Ken into his own enclosure. So there he was, alone once again.
He's gonna do it again, man!
1985, a 14-year-old Ken Allen managed to climb up the wall of his enclosure and got out.
You know what's fucked up? If he was born in the real world, he would have been like a Steve Jobs or like a Bill Gates. Like, being born a very smart orangutan sucks so bad. Like, you could have changed the fucking planet if you were just a couple genomes off, if your DNA was just slightly different.
Well, he very confidently just strolled around the zoo amongst visitors, minding his own business, observing
I
the other
would
animals.
think he was a very ugly man. Here I come, Otis. Oh no, not again.
Well, this escapade went on until the zookeepers were made aware of Ken's escape. Now, they knew that if Ken was to attack anybody, they would be forced to put him down. But he caused no trouble at all, and then they quickly led him back to his enclosure, which he happily complied with.
Oh, he just held the, all right, you got me. My bad. Okay. You know what? I think I like Ken. I'm a Ken fan now. I was talking shit before. I didn't think I could trust him. I thought he would rip off my face and genitals and lips. I actually fuck with Ken now. Me and Ken are cool.
They knew if news of Ken Allen's escape went public, they would have a PR disaster on their hands. But of course, they had no control over the news leaking. I mean, there was an orangutan walking amongst members of the public. That does turn heads.
Wait, when was this? Was this in the 70s? I wouldn't believe it. There's no video footage. Camcorders are like $800. That shit did not happen. Orangutan at our zoo out of the enclosure? Are you sure? No, I would buy silence for sure.
Rather than the expected PR disaster, Ken Allen became somewhat of a local hero, and it actually worked in the zoo's favour. With everyone reading the news about Ken, people just had to see for themselves, and the zoo attendance skyrocketed. San Diego Zoo were doing all they could to prevent another escape.
Yeah,
sure,
don't let
the
him
attention was
out,
great,
man.
but one instance of an escaped ape, zoo officials decided they needed to step up security of Ken's pen. So they installed a moat around the perimeter of his enclosure and installed a 250-foot wall.
A what? It can't be 250 feet high, right? It has to be like 250 feet around. There's no fucking way it is 250 feet high. Okay, for comparison, and I'm only saying this, I'm not a Disney adult, okay? But I'm only saying this because I was just there. This tower, the hotel, the Tower of Terror that's in Orlando, is 199 feet, which means that his wall was 50 feet bigger than this. So yeah, they didn't fuck with Ken. They did not. They wanted him to stay his ass in there.
It worked. Crisis averted. The security measures successfully contained.
I thought his ass was going to do a Catholic prayer. I thought he was going to hit the, like, a Hail Mary. Is that what it's called? Dude, when he hit, I was like, that's a human. I thought he blessed up, bro. He's so sad. Why then make 250 foot? Wait, he knows it's 250 feet tall. Why then make 250 feet tall wall? Oh, wait a minute. He was pretending. Wait, does that look like the face of a sad orangutan? I think Ken has plans.
He somehow made his way over the moat, and just like
Stop
his last
doing
escape,
that.
the 250-pound orangutan effortlessly scaled his enclosure wall. And yet again, he did the same, just casually strolling around the zoo amongst visitors, even posing for selfies. But this time, there was one more thing Ken wanted to do.
Ken's a guy in a costume. I would be like, you know what? That's our newest mascot. It's Ken. Take pictures with him. He's very friendly, and you have to pray to God he doesn't assault anybody. If I worked at the zoo, I would lean into it.
So as the zookeepers were once again made aware of Ken's escape, they frantically ran out to the zoo for a second time to capture Ken.
Wait, I forgot. He's got to go to the lady enclosure.
There Ken was, picking up rocks and pelting them at none other than Otis.
The worst part about this, Otis is just a normal orangutan. That's his op. Like, Otis was born normal, and for some reason, the smartest orangutan that ever lives wants to fuck with you daily. This is gonna end in
as
tragedy.
for the staff at San Diego Zoo, whilst thankful for the increase in ticket sales, they simply could not let this happen again.
All right, what are they up to now?
So for the time being, they moved Ken into an indoor pen that reportedly had a black and white television that featured just one channel.
What channel? Why TV? What are they showing? Ken's in the gulag. Like, the thing is, if you're showing Ken, like, something to educate him, right, we might have a new problem. Are they giving him, like, you know, MTV or something? Like, what is Discovery? He's gonna get too smart, man.
Headlines started referring to Ken Allen as Hairy Houdini. And
That's a good one. That is a good one.
So with the master plan finished, they started by surrounding the wall with a powerful electric fence.
Okay.
Then
Yeah,
they
this
hired
happened.
a pair of professional rock climbers to try and scale the enclosure wall so
That's not gonna
staff
help.
could seek out the foot and handholds and patch over them.
It's not gonna work because orangutans are better than that. You gotta, like, I was gonna say, like, live snakes in the thing, but then you would have to feed the snakes. Grease on the walls? Yeah, but you're gonna have to do it every day. That's, like, expensive, right? Parge the wall?
Parge it.
Oh. Okay. I'd replace him with a different orangutan. I would send Ken to Sing Sing, and I would say the new orangutan is Ken. Oh, he just got stupid. He's just sad.
Keepers had noted that Ken would only really ever attempt to escape when he was in an enclosure alone. And of course, when they attempted to put him in an enclosure with
Put in
other
a
orangutans,
girlfriend.
the only real issue was the fact that there was another male, Otis. So, zookeepers
No way,
decided
he
that
earned
the
a
best
harem.
course of action would be to introduce some female orangutans into the upgraded
Ladies.
enclosure and no other males, in the hopes that the company might calm him down.
Well, well, well. He has his very own harem. He played the long game.
But that wasn't all the staff had up their sleeve. This time, they decided it was best that they monitored Ken. See what he got up
Right.
to, learn his habits, see if he was acting
See what he's
fishy.
up to,
But this
right.
is Ken Allen we're talking about. He knew that when he saw humans dressed in zoo uniform, he couldn't act out or pull any wise moves, as he knew they were watching. But this
Okay.
time, the staff were one step ahead of Ken. So to get round this, they
Did
would
they change
disguise
out of their
themselves
clothes?
in normal cashmere clothing, blue
Okay. So it's Hitman now. Dude, I would be so fucking mad if I had to do all of this for one orang. These people don't get paid enough for this. Like, a zoo worker is not making, like, Silicon Valley tech money to have to monitor this fucking... You shouldn't have to engineer a fucking solution. This shit would be fun as hell. It would be funny for a little bit. But I'm not trying to have this fucking battle of wits with Ken Allen my entire career. If they made a movie about this, who plays Ken? Jack Black.
So how did it all go? Well, their plan worked. Ken didn't try to escape.
Good for
he has
him.
a crowbar. It seemed that Ken had discovered the tool when it had been seemingly left behind by a construction worker.
Who the fuck left a crowbar in Ken's enclosure? Who didn't get the memo on Ken Allen? Did they not tell everyone about this fucking Did he not see the t-shirts and the bumper stickers? He had a man on the inside. Yeah, it was a conspirator. Absolutely. It was another orangutan.
The zookeepers watched over helplessly, but to their
Yeah.
relief, Ken threw it aside, landing at the feet of fellow orangutan, Vicky. And Vicky had used the crowbar to try and pry open the glass of the enclosure window in an attempt to free herself and Ken.
They're in it together. Oh my god, it's a folie à deux. No way, dude. This is Joker and Harley Quinn.
Ken had seemingly upped his intelligence level and was training other orangutans to aid him in his escape.
Oh my god.
Pretty clever.
Love wins.
As if they learned from the master himself.
There must be some kind of orangutan communication going on here.
This guy knows his stuff. They have to have a way to communicate. Clearly. This guy's a thinker.
So after making sure all the loose tools were secure and feeding the construction worker to the alligators,
Yeah.
it seemed that Ken, for the most part, was behaving himself.
You keep saying that, and then he keeps breaking out, bro. It's not gonna work on me.
It seemed that Ken was simply buying his time, because 2 years later, the pump that fueled the moat around Ken's enclosure had conveniently clogged, drying up the moat completely.
Oh, fuck.
And this allowed for a clear and easy path to the wall.
Imagine being Ken. Well, walking up to the wall. Time for another day out. Ken's at it again.
Ken then sat patiently and waited for the moment that the power to the electric fence was shut off for maintenance. How he knew this is still a mystery.
Wait, he knew about maintenance on the fence? What the fuck? How does he not think that's just an act of God? I would think that fence is just some divine intervention. What was on the TV?
But this time around, when he saw the guards approaching in the distance, Ken wasn't as calm as he was during his other escapes. He made a bolt for the lion enclosure, dodging and weaving, making the most of his freedom. Crowds cheering.
After 2 years, yeah, I would imagine he... Wait, crowds are cheering?
Crowds cheering as he sprinted. He was really pushing the boat out this time. And after 3 long hours, he was eventually cornered by gun-wielding zookeepers and led back to his enclosure.
How does Ken know what a gun is? Sounds like he went back after, threat of being shot.
But while secure, what the keepers had underestimated once more was the fact that Ken had roommates. Jane and Kumang had found a 5-foot-long handled squeegee
Oh my god.
that a cleaner had accidentally left in the enclosure. And inspired by Ken, the two somehow used it to climb up the wall and hop out. Jane apparently wandered into an employee.
Wait. Okay. How did they get another tool, man? Ken is a great if he was incarnated as a human being, he would have led us into greatness. This guy could have solved world hunger. It just happened to be born at the fucking San Diego Zoo. Got really fucked up on this one. I would kill Ken at this point. Now he is teaching all the other orangutans that escape is possible, and eventually he's gonna get into another enclosure, and then we get a lion out. You have to cut this off at the bud. You have to kill the revolution before it begins, because he's gonna talk to everybody at some point. What if him and Otis joined forces? That's what I'm saying. The brains and the brawn. You know what I mean? Then they're unstoppable.
She managed to escape 2 additional times by shortening the electric fence wires with a twig.
How did she do that? This didn't happen, man. How did she get the access the wires? Dude, this is just making me really skeptical of the efficacy of the San Diego Zoo. I'm not going there with my kid. The zoo is designed like a Hitman stage. If they put out DLC that was just 1 level and you play as an orangutan named Ken, just 1. I don't need a full game. And give me all kinds of different ways to get out, right? You don't even need a girl orangutan. Just give me a skin to make me look like the girl. By the way, talking about Ape Escape, no spoilers, but you play a little bit of semi-Ape Escape in Astrobot, and I was like, damn, this is kind of fun. I might need to play Ape Escape. How have you not? Ape Escape to me always seemed like a tech demo type of game, where because it was the first game to use the dual stick, whatever, and I was like, oh, this is stupid. You need a special controller for it or whatever. But I don't know. It was kind of fun. Maybe it's a good game.
At this point, the zoo had reportedly spent a whopping $45,000 on...
Kill him. Make it look like an accident. We gotta kill this orangutan. Oh no, we tranked him 30 times. Oh no, he overdosed.
As for Ken himself, as years passed, it seems that the escapes at San Diego Zoo really had finally come to an end this time.
Thank
Ken was
God.
living a simpler life in his enclosure, sat relaxing, eating, and flipping off children that walked by. Well, in the winter of 2000, the zookeepers noticed that Ken was acting out of the ordinary. He was moving erratically and seemed uncomfortable, so the staff sent him in for a visit with the zoo doctor. Ken was diagnosed with B-cell lymphoma, a form of blood cancer. Now, at first, doctors weren't too worried, as Ken was still young and fit.
Young? That's not young then. Coney, I know your ass is not talking. I'm still the birthday boy. My birthday was only a week ago. Can we be nice to me?
So the zookeepers decided that rather than letting Ken suffer at the age of 29, on December 1st, 2000, Ken Allen was euthanized.
He made it to the new millennium, though. He made it to the new millennium.
His condition had worsened over the last several days. Ken brought great joy to the San Diego Zoo for over...
And great agony to its keepers. Oh, there's that trademark Ken smile. He loved to smile. He was always plotting something. They made up the cancer. They just wanted to kill him. Yeah, he had lymphoma.
The Orangang published a 2-page spread as a tribute to Ken and hosted a candlelit vigil.
Yeah, where's
for him,
Otis in all
stating
this?
he would have done the same for us. To this day, a plaque sits in San Diego Zoo.
No way. Why didn't chat tell me about this? I know some of y'all are from San Diego. I know some of y'all done seen this. Otis died 3 years ago. Otis lived 21 years longer than Ken? He lived a full lifetime longer? That's not fair. Otis didn't do shit.
The story of Ken Allen's numerous escapes from the San Diego Zoo, $45,000, t-shirts, bumper stickers, a fan club, a single, and a hell of a tale.
Good for him. I can't believe that's not a lie. I can't believe that's a true story, and I'm going to believe it because I watched a movie on the internet. So I think it happened. If this was on Beyond Belief, I'd say that shit didn't happen, and then Jonathan Frakes would say, no, it's true. It happened in the 80s in San Diego.